Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Josh and this is your stimulus check update for the second stimulus package for Tuesday, August 25th. I hope everyone is off to a wonderful Tuesday so far. In this video, I'll be discussing both the first and second stimulus check. I'll also be discussing unemployment, what Mark Meadows is now saying about the next relief package, and then I'll be wrapping up this video by answering some of the comments and questions that I received in my previous video. But first, if you wouldn't mind real quickly liking this video, giving me a big thumbs up. It really just helps with the YouTube algorithm in terms of pushing this video out to other viewers like you, and hopefully helping other people like you as well. Okay, so I'm going to kick off this video with a quick update on the federal unemployment insurance benefits. At this point in time, I'm going to put up a list of the states that have already been approved for the $300 federal plus up. As you can see, at this point in time, the majority of the states have already been accepted to pay out the benefits to their residents. So let me know in the comments section below if your state is currently on the list of states approved for the $300 federal plus up. We can only hope that this list expands even more as the week progresses on. Now, at this point in time, we still only have a few states that have not even applied for the benefits yet, and I'll go ahead and put those states up on the screen as well. We can only hope that as time goes on, we begin to see more of those states begin to apply for the benefits. These states will have all the way until September 10th for FEMA to receive their application in order to be eligible for the federal benefit, so they need to act very quickly. At this point in time, South Dakota is the only state to have declined the federal benefits, and I hope they remain the only state to do so. Even though their governor says they've done a good job at handling the virus and keeping the unemployment rate at bay, it's still a bit higher than what it was before the virus, so they still have a good ways to go. Now, we also have a few states who have already applied for the benefits, but they're still awaiting approval. You can find the states that have applied, but not yet been accepted for the benefits up on the screen at this point in time. Generally, it's only been taking a day or two for a state to be accepted, so it shouldn't take much longer from here. Okay, and finally, here is a list of states that are currently in the pre-application phase, which simply means that they are currently in the process of applying for the benefits. I expect these states to have their applications in soon, and they should all be processed by the end of the week. Now, at this point in time, only Arizona and Texas have started paying out the federal benefits. Now, I do expect that other states will be soon to follow, as it should only take a couple of weeks for the states to begin paying out the benefits once they're approved, at least according to the White House. Of course, there are other experts who claim it could take several weeks for some states to begin sending out payments again, so it could very well vary on a state-by-state basis. That said, I hope it doesn't take more than a couple of weeks for the majority of the states to begin sending out the payments once again. Also, at this point in time, Kentucky, Montana, and West Virginia remain the only states who have committed to paying out the $100 on their end, paying 25% of the $400. I do expect that other states are soon to follow on that as well. Additionally, just as a reminder, in order to receive the $300 federal plus up, you must be eligible to receive at least $100 in state unemployment benefits. This means that those people who receive less than $100 at the state level will not be receiving the $300 federal benefit. This, of course, will also affect the families with the lowest incomes, which is very unfortunate. And finally, these benefits may only last around 3 weeks anyways, with there only being around $44 billion from FEMA going towards the federal unemployment benefits. This is why it's super important that Congress can get together and pass a bill extending the federal unemployment benefits on a longer term basis. At this point in time, we need something with much more longevity, because once the funds for the benefits expire, we'll be right back at square one once again, not to mention we also need more aid as well. Alright, so at this point in time, I'm just going to move right along to some updates on the second stimulus check. White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows was interviewed by CBS, where he touched base on updates in regards to the next relief package. Now, at the moment, unemployment is right around 10%, 29 million Americans have reported hunger in the last week, and a third of Americans don't have the money to pay their rent or housing bill. In this interview, Meadows was asked where the eviction relief was and when enhanced unemployment would be extended. To this, Meadows responded that President Trump is the only one in Washington, D.C. to have acted on those issues. He said that the Democrats on Capitol Hill failed to come together on anything that would address enhanced unemployment or eviction protections. Meadows also said that the president had to take unprecedented executive actions on those issues to make sure that the unemployment benefits continued and to make sure that people don't get evicted. Meadows then went on to say that he's calling on Congress to come together and that President Trump is willing to sign off on any bill to offer relief to the American people. He said that Republicans and Democrats can agree right now on enhanced unemployment benefits, school aid for K through 12, small business aid, food stamps, and eviction protections. Now, one thing Meadows didn't mention, if you noticed, was stimulus checks. I'm not sure if Meadows was simply on the spot and forgot to mention stimulus checks, or if that's something they now no longer agree on. I'm going to go out on a limb and take a guess that it was something that he simply forgot to mention, being that in the past it was very well known that both the Democrats and the Republicans supported a second round of stimulus payments. The only real difference between the two plans is that the Democrats want to give $1,200 to all dependents, whereas Republicans only want to give $500 to dependents. So, at this point in time, it's quite clear that Meadows and the White House still want to reach a deal with Democrats in the next relief package. Even though we don't have a clear-cut timeline, it's quite possible they could possibly get something done in the next couple of weeks. With the elections coming up in November, if something gets done, you would have to think that it would have to be done in September. Because if nothing gets done through the month of September, then more than likely we're going to be waiting all the way until next year, and at that point we'll pretty much be losing all momentum. Now, if this was up to me, I say they pass one bill on the things that they do agree on. They could go ahead and extend the unemployment benefits, send out another round of stimulus checks, and then of course add in some aid for schools K through 12, aid for small businesses, and food assistance aid as well. You could even add in some additional funding for the Postal Service as a kick-in. At this point, the only real hang-up is funding for state and local government. And even though I completely understand Pelosi wanting state and local governments to have funding as well, I just don't think that should be a deal breaker. If the two sides can agree on certain things, don't hold up the bill over red lines, pass a bill with what you agree on, and move on from there. But that's just me. Okay, so at this point in time, I'm just going to give a quick update on the first round of stimulus payments because unfortunately, there are still way too many Americans who haven't even received their first stimulus check yet. And this is extremely ridiculous considering that it's been several months now since the first check started being sent out and directly deposited. I mean, can you believe that the IRS hasn't been able to get everyone's payment to them, and here we are in almost September? That's absolutely crazy to me. With that said, let me know in the comment section below if you've received your first stimulus payment or if you're currently still waiting for it at this point in time. So, if you still haven't received your first stimulus payment, I know how frustrated you must be. However, unfortunately, there's not much you can do. At this point, I would just recommend to continue checking the payment portal on a daily basis. And I already know what you're going to say. Josh, I've been doing just that every single day for the past several months and I haven't had any luck. To that, there's not much I can say, but just trust me that you will eventually receive an updated payment status at some point in the near future. I've seen so many people checking the payment portal for months on end, thinking they would never receive their payment, but then the day finally comes where the payment portal updates for them with an updated payment status. The exact same thing will happen to you as well in the near future, so just continue checking. Now, one thing that I would consider if you haven't yet received your first payment is if you were claimed as a dependent on someone else's tax returns. I've also seen a lot of people unknowingly being claimed as a dependent by their child or someone else in their family, which unfortunately made them ineligible to receive their payment. If a second round of stimulus checks are approved though, you're more than likely going to be receiving at least $500 and perhaps as much as $1,200 even if you are claimed as a dependent on someone else's tax returns. Also, if you've already received your $1,200 check, but you haven't yet received the $500 for your dependent child, then the IRS recently noted that you should receive the $500 by mid-October at latest. Now, if you're on Social Security benefits and haven't yet claimed your dependent using the non-filers tool, then I would recommend that you do so by September 30th at latest. This is because if you fail to claim your dependent child by September 30th, then unfortunately you'll have to wait all the way until next year to claim the $500 credit on your tax returns. I definitely do not want to see anyone wait any longer than what they have to for receiving that money. And finally, if you have any questions in regards to your first stimulus payment, you can always call the IRS at 1-800-919-9835, and the only piece of recommendation that I would have for you is to call a little bit earlier in the day just to avoid those longer hold times. Now, I must also mention that you may not learn much more than what you can already find through the payment portal, so I would only call them if you have a few minutes in your day to spare. Alright, so at this point in time, I'm just going to answer some of the comments and questions that I received in my previous video. And if you have any other comments or questions for me, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I do try to respond to as many of the comments and questions as I possibly can, but for those comments and questions I'm not able to answer, I do try to respond to some of the more popular ones in the next video in video form. Okay, so without further ado, let me go ahead and jump into the first comment of today's video, which is from Simba. Simba says, are the states that are approved to receive the $300 federal plus-up retroactive from August 1st? Alright, thank you so much for your question, Simba, and yes, the states that are approved to receive the $300 federal plus-up will have their payments retroactive as of August 1st. However, unfortunately, since these benefits may only last 3 to 4 weeks, the benefits may not end up lasting that long. This is because they only have around $44 billion of funds to work with and pay out, so it won't be long before all of that money is gone. After that, of course, they'll have to go back to the drawing board and pass a bill to extend the federal unemployment benefits on a longer term basis. This is because it's very unlikely that President Trump will be able to pass another executive order to extend the unemployment benefits again, unless the White House can once again get creative with how they can legally do so. Alright, moving right along to the next question of today's video, which is from Jordan. Jordan says, are we still getting a tax break from Trump's executive order? Alright, thank you so much for your question, Jordan, and yes, we are still getting a payroll tax cut, which will be starting 1 week from now on September 1st. Now, it has been noted that not all employers and payroll systems will be able to make the complex changes for making the payroll tax cut, so it's possible that not every company will implement the payroll tax cut on time. Additionally, I also have to note that this would be a payroll tax deferral, meaning that you would have to pay all the money back at some point in the future. This, of course, is unless President Trump is re-elected, where he says he'll try to pass a bill where paying that money back would be forgiven. Although, I must say, even if Trump did try passing such a bill, it would more than likely get blocked by the Democrats if they controlled either the House or the Senate, being that they would be more so opposed to forgiving such a tax cut. So, with that said, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Alright, so on that note, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. If you did enjoy the content in this video and you'd like to see more videos like it, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. It is completely free to do so, and it's a great support to me. Also, if you'd like to receive 2 free stocks from Webull, with the second free stock being valued all the way up to $1,400, please feel free to claim those 2 free stocks by clicking the link in the description box below. And until next time, I'll see you guys, and I hope you have a great day today.